TikTok has stopped working for users in the United States. The social media platform was scheduled to shut down for Americans from Sunday after the US Supreme Court upheld a law banning it as a risk to national security. US President-elect Donald Trump has said he's likely to give TikTok a 90-day reprieve after he takes office on Monday. So lots to talk about with DW reporter Clifford Coonan, who joins me in the studio. So let's first start, Clifford, with those 170 million users TikTok has in the United States of America. They're all switching now to another platform?
Yeah, I mean, reports that they might open a book or go and play in the snow seem to be exaggerated. They are looking other places, Snapchat. They're looking at the verticals part of, say, YouTube and other things. One thing they're looking at is a thing called Red Note, which actually translates from Chinese as Little Red Book, which is to do with Chairman Mao Zedong's Little Red Book of Communist Doctrine, which is very, very linked to the Communist Party. And a lot of people have been going there. I think the Chinese government is quite enjoying that at the moment, but we've already seen things like when people ask questions about LGBTQ issues or anything to do with areas that are censored in China, they've fallen foul of this new platform. So I think that probably will be a flash in the pan, but people are going to be looking around for new options.
Yeah, they may not have to look around for that much longer. We touched upon that and we'll talk about that in a second, but do remind us, why was this ban imposed in the United States in the first place?
Well, it was imposed over security concerns related to ByteDance, which is the owner of TikTok. TikTok's Chinese equivalent is called Douyin. TikTok itself is banned in China, along with Facebook, Google, all these other sites that we know so well in the West. And the security concerns are down to the fact that maybe the Chinese are trying to launch an influence operation or to gather information on Americans. And probably the most realistic security concern is that downloaded software can be used to put malicious software onto people's phones in America. I think that, for myself, that would be the most realistic security concern. But these are the things that the intelligence operations in the US have been mostly concerned about.
Now, that's interesting. I mean, mentioning those intelligence concerns in the United States, because today TikTok users in the US, and I think we've seen it here exactly, that's what they see. So, sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. That could imply, you know, this is just a temporary thing right now, not for good. But it's also then further down referring to the fact that President Trump could be possibly the one who's finding a solution. That's interesting, given that Donald Trump, in his first term, was the one who basically launched the US-China trade war, and now he's the solution to a Chinese tech problem?
That's right. I mean, the TikTok ban was originally his idea, something he floated in the first administration. He's now signaled, I think a lot of this has to do with the election. He's got 14 million users on TikTok, and that's quite a lot of users. Maybe he doesn't want to lose them. It was a big tool in his election campaign. He was very successful in using it. Maybe that's part of it. I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that he's getting very close to tech, and the TikTok CEO is going to be on the podium there with him in his inauguration. It's hard to tell. He can certainly do a 90-day moratorium on it, but that's only to find a solution for selling TikTok. So he can't.
Is there a buyer? Anyone?
Well, this is it. There's lots of people have been mentioned, including Donald Trump's great friend Elon Musk, who is basically the stock analyst put a value of between 30 and 50 billion on this company, and that's around a little bit more than what he paid for Twitter, which is now X. He's been reportedly talking to Chinese officials about it, but he hasn't said anything about it. So it's maybe who knows.
Who knows? Who knows? But I mean, back to the security concerns, because TikTok is also being used in Europe, obviously, but it's been banned in the US. So could this set a precedent?
I think so. I mean, I think the regulatory environment is much stricter in Europe, particularly from Brussels. We've seen how they've put a lot of restrictions on the US companies as well. On TikTok, it has been less active. Maybe they'd be looking to the US because of the ambiguous approach to China in terms of pushing trade with China ahead of other concerns. There's been less of a movement towards trying to crack down on things like TikTok. But I think certainly the European leaders are going to be watching closely to how this plays out.
All right, DW's Clifford Coonan, as always. Good to have you in the studio. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Monica.